Okay, so for the purpose of what we're doing for this video, I want you to imagine that this is me. Alright, fair dues, fair dues. I want you to imagine that this is me, right? Okay, now this is the part of me that you all get to see, yeah? This is the part that I go out in the world as. Some people call it the ego, some people call it the higher self. Whatever you want to call it, this is the part that the world gets to see, yeah? This is who we dress as in the morning, this is who goes out to the world. Now, there is another part to us that I believe, and that part is here. Now, some people call this the inner child, or some people call this the real self, or whatever. But I believe, simplified, we all go out into the world as these two people. This is the more vulnerable side, this is the bit that we hide, this is the bit that we're worried to show the world. But essentially, every time we go out, we use this one to protect this one. And they're both part of ourselves. So a lot of people always talk about getting rid of the ego, yeah? That you need to completely deflate your ego so that you can survive in the world. I don't believe that's the case. What I do believe is for someone like me, where I had to detach from this person, that you know, the real inner self, as I detached from that from such a young age, I became only this. And so where the two weren't connected, and that's where my lack of connection, feeling of connection comes from, and I was just this one, it meant that when this one wasn't feeling loved or feeling accepted, which it's impossible to feel that 24 hours a day, every day of the week, it meant that my mental health was in the pits because I didn't have connection to this. Now, on the contrary, if you talk about somebody who doesn't have to detach when they're younger, these two grow up together, and what you tend to do is you build this, and I believe this is, you know, you build your character and you build the things that protect you, and then you spend your life almost walking hand in hand. And when you can do that, your vulnerable side and your ego side interact, okay, and you have a very comfortable living. You're very, very comfortable in yourself. And when these go out and about, they walk, like I say, they walk hand in hand. Now, I believe a lot of mental health struggles, and I'm saying mental health, I don't mean mental illness because there is a difference. I'm talking about mental health struggles, the way we feel on a day-to-day basis. A lot of it comes from this not wanting to be seen out with this. And we do all that we can to live a life where we're just this person and we don't have to share this. And what I've found from getting honest and getting open and revealing all parts of myself is that I became more and more comfortable showing the world this side of me, the vulnerable side of me, the bit that I'm scared to show you, the bit that I don't want anyone to see, the bit that gets upset, the bit that gets worried, the bit that lives in fear. I've hidden from that a lot all my life. And for me, when I went into total darkness, it was when I never spent any time with this at all. And it's important to spend time with this because it's important to get that connection, and it's important to nurture and live with and be with yourself, yeah? But the one thing that I would say is that you need this ego because you don't want it to take over, and you don't want it to be the sole owner of your soul and your life, but you want it there. So when there is times that you're scared and this person's frightened and needs protecting, you can do it yourself because you can put on that mask or that armour, and you can use it to your advantage. I use example, I was at Upfest the weekend supporting the colour, and in them situations where there's lots and lots of people around, I feel a little bit anxious. Now, I wouldn't be able to go if there wasn't some part of an ego in me that was able to take this one with me and protect it. And sometimes that means hiding or standing in front of or protecting. But when I'm full and when I'm really alive is when I'm walking hand in hand together. There's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no concern, there's no worries. It's just me out in the world. And it's very, very difficult to do that. And I believe that's where a lot of the violence and the anger that we see in the world comes from, is because people are protecting this at all costs, and defense is their first line of attack because they don't want people to see who they really are. And that's why we see a lot of shaming online and stuff like that, righteous shaming, you know, where we see people that are doing things that are obviously wrong. It becomes easy for this one to point and say how disgusted they are and all that kind of stuff, because it's easier for this one to live in that way. And really, it's not about changing the world so that this one can live the kind of life it deserves to live. It's about making sure that this one is in tune with this one so that you get to live connected. And I believe when you're connected these two and they're connected and living in harmony, that's when you'll connect with other people. That's when you'll make real, true and meaningful bonds. Because every person that you meet and share yourself with, you'll be sharing both of them with, not just this one. Yeah, we all know about relationships we've got into where all we've done for a long time in the beginning of the relationship is show this and show this and show this. And then 6 months in, this one comes out and it's like you're a new person. If you're walking hand in hand with them without concern, the relationships that you make and build are going to be so authentic and so deep. Then you're going to experience the world in a different way. So, how do you go about doing that and nurturing that? Well, you've got to find this one. You first have to be able to let this one out, because for a lot of us, they're locked away and we don't go near them. There's a wall here. There's a wall here, yeah, and this one's just completely protected. It's never there. It's never getting to experience the world. And when you prevent it from experiencing the world, to protect it because it is a coping mechanism. It's a way of coping in the world. But when you build that wall, you don't allow this one to experience anything else. So this one becomes lonely, and that's where loneliness as well and everything else like that comes from. So it's about getting down this wall when you're alone, just you two, and spending time with yourself. Learning about yourself and learning what frightens him, and letting this one know that when you go out in the world, you're going to protect him, and then your ego becomes something that you need. It becomes something valuable to you and not something that runs away from this one and lives alone, because that's when the ego will make you lonely.